Why would a former president, already a central figure in national discourse, turn his attention toward targeting media outlets with a barrage of defamation lawsuits? What has prompted this sudden wave of legal threats aimed at some of the most prominent news organizations in the country? In a dramatic twist following his settlement with ABC News last week, Donald Trump and his allies have escalated their campaign against the media, leveraging defamation lawsuits as both a weapon and a warning. For Trump, the settlement, which spared him from a lengthy deposition, was not just a personal victory but a declaration of war on the press. The question remains, how far will he and his allies go, and what does this mean for journalistic freedom in the United States? Let's unpack the latest developments in what appears to be a calculated legal offensive against critical reporting. The settlement with ABC News, a turning point. The first domino to fall in this saga was the settlement agreement between Donald Trump and ABC News. While the details of the agreement remain confidential, one undeniable outcome was the decision to forego Trump's scheduled deposition. This development was heralded as a win for Trump, bolstering his image and emboldening his legal team. ABC's decision to settle, rather than risk a prolonged legal battle, has been interpreted by Trump as a validation of his grievances against the media. However, legal analysts suggest that ABC's choice may have been more pragmatic than symbolic, an effort to avoid the costs and unpredictability of litigation rather than an admission of wrongdoing. This victory has emboldened Trump and his allies to take a more aggressive stance. As reports from the New York Times reveal, a flurry of defamation threats has already been issued to various media outlets. These threats, delivered via phone calls, emails, and even live television segments, appear to be part of a coordinated strategy to intimidate journalists and suppress critical coverage. A pattern of intimidation, legal threats, and defamation lawsuits. According to reports, Trump's legal team, along with close allies like Kash Patel and attorney Tim Parlator, has begun targeting media outlets with warnings of potential lawsuits. While no lawsuits have been formally filed yet, the threats alone are designed to send a chilling message. Parlator and others have hinted that outlets continuing to publish critical stories about Trump and his associates could find themselves facing costly litigation. The implications are far-reaching. Even credible and accurate reporting could become a target, with Trump's team framing these lawsuits as a defense against what they perceive as malicious attacks. This approach has raised alarms among media watchdogs who fear that the tactic, whether successful in court or not, could stifle press freedom and encourage self-censorship. Weaponizing government power. What's particularly concerning is the potential for these threats to escalate if Trump or his allies regain positions of power within the federal government. As the New York Times report suggests, there have already been discussions about leveraging governmental tools, from subpoenas to broadcast license revocations, to target media organizations. The specter of a federal government wielding its immense resources to pursue defamation claims represents a dire threat to the independence of the press. This strategy could fundamentally shift the balance of power between the media and the government. Traditionally, the press has served as a check on authority, exposing corruption and holding leaders accountable. But under Trump's legal offensive, that role could be severely undermined. The sheer weight of federal resources behind these lawsuits would make it difficult, if not impossible, for smaller outlets to defend themselves, even when their reporting is accurate and ethical. Impact on independent media. While major networks like ABC and CNN may have the financial and legal resources to withstand these attacks, smaller, independent media outlets are especially vulnerable. Organizations like Midas Touch, which has already been mentioned in court documents related to Trump's lawsuits, face a disproportionate risk. These outlets often operate on limited budgets and rely on crowdfunding to sustain their operations, making them prime targets for legal intimidation. Yet, independent media has emerged as a critical voice in an increasingly polarized landscape. Figures like David Pakman, Sam Seder, and others have vowed not to be silenced, emphasizing their commitment to truth-telling despite the risks. Their resolve underscores the importance of maintaining diverse perspectives in public discourse, particularly when larger outlets appear more cautious or compromised. Corporate media's response: capitulation or strategy? The reaction from corporate media to Trump's threats has been mixed. On one hand, the settlement with ABC News and the conciliatory gestures from figures like MSNBC's Joe Scarborough suggest a willingness to avoid confrontation. Critics argue that such actions amount to capitulation, enabling Trump's attacks on press freedom. On the other hand, some outlets may view these moves as strategic, a way to avoid costly distractions and maintain focus on broader reporting objectives. Regardless of the motivation, these decisions have sparked debates about the role and responsibility of major media organizations in defending journalistic integrity. The broader implications for democracy. At its core, Trump's legal offensive raises fundamental questions about the state of democracy in the United States. A free press is a cornerstone of democratic governance, providing citizens with the information they need to make informed decisions. When the press is threatened, whether through lawsuits, intimidation, or governmental overreach, the entire democratic process is at risk. Furthermore, the chilling effect of these threats extends beyond the media. Whistleblowers, confidential sources, and even ordinary citizens may think twice before speaking out, fearing retribution from a well-funded and litigious adversary. This culture of fear undermines accountability and emboldens those in power to act with impunity. The history of Trump's tensions with the press. Trump's antagonistic relationship with the media is hardly new. During his presidency, he frequently referred to journalists as the enemy of the people and often lashed out at unfavorable coverage. This rhetoric was paired with attempts to limit press access, delegitimize reporting, and amplify alternative narratives through platforms like Twitter. His actions, from barring reporters from press briefings to threatening to revoke broadcast licenses, illustrated a broader strategy to undermine public trust in the media. The current wave of defamation threats is a continuation of this effort, albeit with a more legally aggressive tone. The role of public opinion. Public perception plays a crucial role in this battle. Trump's supporters often view his attacks on the media as justified, believing that mainstream outlets are biased against him. This narrative has fostered a deep mistrust of traditional journalism among his base, creating fertile ground for the spread of misinformation. Conversely, critics argue that Trump's actions set a dangerous precedent, eroding the norms that protect press freedom. They emphasize the need for citizens to critically evaluate news sources and support independent journalism as a safeguard against authoritarian tendencies. Donald Trump's escalating legal offensive against the media is more than a personal vendetta. It is a calculated strategy to reshape the landscape of American journalism. By leveraging defamation lawsuits and the threat of governmental power, Trump and his allies seek to silence dissent and consolidate control over public narratives. The implications of this campaign are profound, threatening not only the viability of independent media, but the very principles of free speech and accountability that underpin democracy. As the battle lines are drawn, it is crucial for journalists, media organizations, and citizens alike to recognize the stakes and stand firm in defense of the truth. The road ahead may be fraught with challenges, but the resilience of a free and independent press remains one of the most powerful safeguards against tyranny. If there's one takeaway from this unfolding story, it's that the fight for journalistic freedom is far from over. For those committed to holding power to account, the message is clear. Persistence and courage will be the keys to navigating this turbulent era. Supporting independent media, staying informed, and fostering public discourse will be essential in ensuring that the principles of democracy endure in the face of these unprecedented challenges.